There is one simple truth about success that many people tend to miss. Talent is often praised too much, and intelligence alone doesn't guarantee anything. What truly makes a difference between those who reach their dreams and those who fall behind is consistency, not the kind of consistency that shows up when things are easy or when we feel inspired or when situations are in our favor. I'm talking about the consistency that takes real effort, the kind that you have to pull yourself into when your whole body wants comfort. And today I want to talk about 5 powerful ideas that can help you stick with consistency even when it's tough. Because when you teach yourself to stay consistent, you don't just shift your habits, you completely transform your life. Motivation comes and goes. It's like a flame. It shines bright but burns out quickly. We've all had those moments when motivation hits hard, that wave of energy, the eagerness to begin something fresh. It's exciting, but then what happens? When that feeling fades, what do you do when the alarm rings early in the morning and you don't feel that same drive? If you only rely on motivation, you'll only take action when it's simple, or when you're in the mood, or when everything is going smoothly. But discipline, that's what keeps you on track, even when you don't feel like doing anything. Think about top athletes. Think about the best musicians and the most successful business leaders, the ones who truly leave a mark. Do you think they bounce out of bed each day filled with motivation, ready to face any challenge? No, they don't. But they still show up. They fight through tiredness, fear, discomfort, even failure, because they know that real success isn't based on how we feel in the moment. It's based on what we stick with over the long term. The gap between people who make it and people who don't isn't about being smart or lucky or gifted. It's about being willing to continue even after the excitement is gone. It's about accepting the hard work, trusting the journey, and understanding that the little things you do consistently today are building the future you imagine tomorrow. Think about starting your day without asking if you're in the mood, but just choosing to act because you made a promise to yourself. Imagine being free from your moods, emotions, or daily distractions. That simple mindset shift could reshape your entire life. We live in a time where quick rewards are everywhere. We want success and we want it fast. We look for tricks and shortcuts, hoping to skip the hard parts of commitment. But real success, the kind that means something, is never immediate. It comes from patience, effort, and the will to show up even when no one sees you. The stories that truly move us, the ones that stick with us, they're never about people who had it easy. They're about people who pushed through struggles, who were strong when giving up would have been easier. The people who chose discipline instead of waiting to feel motivated. Imagine a runner training for a marathon. In the beginning, they feel inspired. The goal is clear, the drive is strong. But what about day 30 when their body aches, the weather's bad, and the thrill is gone? What keeps them going? Then it's not motivation. It's the promise they made to themselves. It's the clear picture they have that big goals are not met in one moment, but through many unseen efforts. Discipline means choosing based on who you want to be, not based on your feelings in that minute. It means realizing that discomfort is not a sign to stop, but a key part of growing the path to anything valuable. Will have moments of doubt, exhaustion, and failure, but in those very moments, when motivation is missing, your real strength is shaped. Remember the last time you felt like quitting. Maybe it was a dream, a plan, or something you cared about. Maybe you told yourself it was too hard, that you didn't have what it takes, or that you weren't motivated anymore. But what if you had kept going? What if you had leaned into the challenge instead of backing away? What if, instead of waiting for the feeling to return, you had let discipline carry you forward? The people who truly succeed, the ones we look up to, are not always the most gifted or the luckiest. They are often the ones who don't stop, the ones who act day after day, not because they want to every time, but because they've decided their goal matters more than their mood. Now picture applying that mindset to your own journey. Think about what could happen if you kept showing up not just when you felt like it, but because you chose to. Where could you be a year from now if you stopped chasing motivation and started depending on discipline? Because at the end of it all, success isn't about how you feel, it's about what you do. Again and again over time. The real question isn't, are you motivated? The real question is, are you dedicated? And that decision belongs completely to you. In today's world, we praise speed. We admire those who seem to reach high levels overnight. The stories We see the headlines we read, they make it look like success comes in one magical moment. But that's not real. Lasting success, meaningful progress, and real skills don't happen in a single event. They are built from steady actions repeated over and over again. We often believe we can do more in one day than we actually can, but we forget how much we can achieve in 1 year. We set big goals hoping to change everything fast, but when we don't see quick results, we get disappointed. But maybe the answer doesn't lie in huge moves, but in the simple, quiet promises we keep to ourselves every single day. Think about a tiny drop of water. It looks unimportant on its own, but over time, that same drop can shape stone. The effect of daily small actions isn't always obvious at first, but it adds up. The gap between success and failure doesn't show up in one massive effort, it shows up in the repeated small decisions. Science supports this too. Researchers at the University of London discovered that forming a habit takes on average 66 days, not 21, not 30, but around 66 days. That means if today you begin doing something small, like writing a few lines, reading for a few minutes, or exercising for just 15 minutes, the results may not appear fast, but over time, these efforts grow. Imagine the progress you could make in a year. It's easy to see others who are ahead and feel like we're behind. We compare our lives to people who've already done what we want. And we forget what's hidden in their story, all the quiet effort, all the times they worked alone, all the days they kept going without any praise or reward. The builder doesn't raise a wall in one afternoon, but by placing each brick with purpose and care, eventually a strong structure rises, one that can last through storms and time, and it all starts with that first brick. The same applies to anything worth doing. It starts by showing up today, then again tomorrow, and again the day after that. It means believing in the process. Even if results are slow, think again about the runner. They don't begin by running full marathons. They begin with short runs and build up little by little. Their muscles ache, they get tired, but they don't stop because they know every step, no matter how small, is moving them forward. With time, what once felt impossible becomes normal. We often celebrate the outcome, but overlook the hard work behind it. The famous author who just published their latest novel spent years in quiet spaces editing drafts no one will read. The great musician who fills concert halls spent countless hours repeating the same notes over and over again. The successful entrepreneur made tiny decisions every day that led to something bigger. It's not just about being gifted or lucky, it's about being steady. Our culture pushes quick wins and fast progress. If we don't see results fast, we think something is wrong and we quit too early. We think if we can't see change right away, it must not be happening. But deep, lasting change is like planting a seed. You water it, care for it, and wait. And for a while it looks like nothing's happening. But then one day it sprouts and grows. That's when others notice. But the real work began long before that first leaf showed. We can all remember times we wanted something deeply, but walked away because it didn't happen soon enough. But what if we had stayed with it? What if we had trusted the slow and steady steps? What if we had focused more on the journey and less on the outcome? The biggest wins in history didn't happen instantly. Thomas Edison didn't create the light bulb in one go. He failed more than 1,000 times, but kept trying. Every small test, every little step brought him closer, and finally he made it work. So ask yourself, what's one small thing you can start doing today? Not next week, not someday, but right now, because today matters is all we have, and today is the right time to begin. Will you decide to write those 200 words? Will you decide to take a short walk? Will you decide to make that one phone call? To take that first step toward your goal? It doesn't need to be huge, it just needs to be regular, because small daily efforts, when done over time, lead to amazing outcomes. The kind of outcomes others call luck, the kind that seem like sudden success but are actually the result of quiet effort. And the best part is, you don't have to wait for some ideal time to begin, you only have to start now. Consistency isn't just something we do, it's the base on which trust is built. Trust is the most important currency in friendships, in careers, and in leadership. It isn't handed out easily, and it can't be demanded. It is built through action, through being dependable, and through the steady promise to be who we say we are. When we lack consistency, we slowly break trust, not just with others, but with ourselves. And when we stop trusting ourselves, we start doubting our abilities, our choices, and our true potential. Remember a moment when you promised yourself something. Maybe you said you'd get up early to work out, or that you'd finally launch that project, or that you'd give more attention to your loved ones, but then life got in the way. You hit snooze, you delayed that plan, you let distractions win your focus, and at the time, it didn't seem serious, but something deeper was happening. You let yourself down, and when that keeps happening again and again, it sends a message to your mind that your words don't carry weight, that your promises are bendable, that you're not someone who finishes what you start. And the hardest part is, the next time you set a goal, a small voice whispers, "Why try? You won't follow through anyway." Now, think about the opposite picture. Imagine every time you made a goal, you followed it through. Every time you made a promise, you honored it. Think of the confidence, the strength, the firm belief you develop in yourself. That's what consistency builds. It gives proof that you're someone who shows up no matter what. Proof that others and you yourself can rely on you. And that kind of proof shapes who you are. When you're consistent, people take notice. Not because of dramatic actions, but because of small, steady, dependable steps. Think of the people you count on the most. They're not the ones making big claims and rarely showing up. They're the ones who are present, the ones who reply when you call, the ones who do what they say they will. They are steady, and because of that, you believe in them. The same thing applies in business. A brand that provides quality every time becomes known for being trustworthy. A manager who listens, supports, and acts honestly every time becomes someone people choose to follow. But what about when we're not steady? Doubts begin. We've all seen it. A friend who always cancels at the last moment. A company that sends a great product once and a bad one the next. A leader who promises but doesn't deliver. Being inconsistent creates confusion. And confusion ruins trust, because trust isn't built during perfect moments. It's built during the ordinary actions that show who we are. Some people assume that trust is based on skill, on being the best at what you do. But look at the people you rely on the most. Do you trust them because they never mess up, or because they're always there? Trust doesn't come from being brilliant, it comes from being dependable. It means showing up even when it's not easy. It's about being there when it really matters, not just when it's fun. This is what makes consistency so powerful. It sends a message to the world and to yourself that you can be trusted, that when you promise to do something, you do it, that when you set a standard, you maintain it. And here's what you should remember. Consistency doesn't mean being perfect, it means being persistent. It means deciding again and again to keep going even when you don't want to, even when results take time, even when no one is noticing. Because that's the real test. It's simple to stay motivated when things are exciting, when there's progress, when people cheer you on. But the real question is, can you stay the same when no one's watching, when results are slow, when the way forward isn't clear? That's where trust is built. That's where real confidence is made. And it all begins with you. If you want others to believe in you, begin by believing in yourself. Follow the promises you make to you. If you say you'll get up early, do it. If you say you'll make a shift, if you say you'll be there for someone, follow through. Because if you can't rely on yourself, how can anyone else? This is what separates those who do great things from those who don't. It's not about talent or luck or smarts. It's about being steady. The skill to continue even when no one sees it. The willpower to stay on track even when rewards are far. The choice to become the kind of person others and you yourself can count on. It's in the little daily acts, the regular decisions, that we discover who we truly are. Not in flashy moments, not in big wins, but in the quiet rhythm of showing up again and again, and proving with actions that we mean what we say. Because in the end, trust doesn't form in a moment, it forms through many moments. Success doesn't live in big victories. It's not only for the ones who are always fired up or specially gifted. Success, at its core, belongs to those who stick with it. It belongs to those who are willing to keep moving forward, even when the work feels dull, even when there's no instant praise, even when they feel invisible. It belongs to those who've learned to handle the boring and the usual, The world loves the spotlight moments, the trophy win, the viral video, the sudden success. But, truthfully, these are just the surface. Under them is a sea of quiet, effort, repeated steps, and a strong sense of duty. The most impressive people we know are usually not the ones chasing thrills, but those who've made peace with the boring parts of growth. A popular study on top violin players found that the best weren't the most gifted. They weren't the ones always inspired or only played when they felt excited. They were the ones who practiced daily, even when it felt tiring, even when they weren't sure it was helping. They showed up. They stayed loyal to the practice, not just the goal. They didn't wait for inspiration. They relied on self-control in a world that celebrates passion. We often think we need to always feel inspired. We chase highs, the exciting days, the fast results. And when excitement fades and things feel routine, we start to think we're on the wrong road. We think boredom means stop or change paths. But that's actually where the real shift starts. That's where growth lives. Ask yourself, can you keep going when it's no longer exciting? Can you accept the simple, repeated steps that success depends on? Look at the top athletes, the best business owners, the most amazing thinkers. Their lives aren't filled with constant wins. They don't wake up every morning bursting with energy. More often than not, they wake up to the same schedule, the same habits, the same plain tasks. The difference is they've accepted it. They've learned to enjoy the journey, not just the rewards. The road to being great is covered with repetition. The author who writes bestsellers is the one who types even when it feels hard. The musician who moves hearts is the one who practices long after it feels fun. The leader who makes a difference is the one who chooses the hard road, even when it's tough. Think about your own journey. When you made real progress, was it because of some burst of energy, or was it because you kept showing up again and again, even when it was boring, even when it was tough? True growth doesn't come from the loud, exciting times. It happens in the quiet, steady moments. No one claps for it. Happens when you keep going when others quit. Discipline takes you farther than motivation ever could. If you can enjoy the plain parts of your work, your health journey, your connection with people, your self-improvement, you'll gain something that most don't have, because the people who succeed aren't the ones who felt excited every day. They are the ones who did the work anyway. So the real question isn't whether you'll be excited about your goals all the time. The real question is, will you keep moving when you're not? Will you accept the slow parts, the dull work, the invisible effort? Real skill is built not in those big wins, but in those long hours of quiet practice in the unseen. Effort lives in the decision to keep going when things feel tough. It's found in the choice to embrace the boring and the repetitive, because that's where real success is shaped. Your mind will always try to give you a reason to stop. It will whisper that you're too tired, that tomorrow is a better time to start, that taking it easy this once won't really make a difference. But what if I said that each time you give in, you're not just delaying progress, you're building a habit of stopping? What if every excuse was actually an act of holding yourself back? A small choice that makes it harder to push next time things get tough. The truth is, resistance is a signal. It's the sign that growth is coming. It stands at the door between where you are now and where you could go. It's not your enemy, it's your invitation. Every difficulty, every hard moment, every urge to give up is actually a chance. It's a moment where you decide who you truly are. Are you someone who takes the easy way out, or are you someone who sticks with it, pushes ahead, and grows stronger? We've all felt it, that heavy feeling of being worn out, that voice inside that tries to convince you that you've done enough for the day. And honestly, sometimes that voice sounds very reasonable. But when you go beyond that voice, when you take one more step, one more round, one more minute, something powerful happens. You show yourself what you're really capable of. That proof adds up. It becomes your evidence. Evidence that you're stronger than your excuses, that you're in control, and slowly you build a rock-solid foundation of discipline. Think about the times you grew the most. They weren't the easy, calm times, they were the tough ones. The times you doubted yourself but kept moving anyway. The moments you stepped through fear. When you stayed committed even though every part of you wanted to stay in the comfort zone, growth doesn't come through ease. It shows up in discomfort, in resistance. Picture an athlete training for the biggest event of their life. Do you think they feel inspired every morning to get up and train? No. Do they always feel ready to show up and push their body to the max? Absolutely not. But they do it anyway, because they understand that real progress comes from continuing, even when quitting would feel easier. It's the work they put in when nobody's watching, when there's no immediate reward, when the discomfort is real. That's what sets them apart from those who just dream but never make it happen. Motivation is temporary. It shows up in bursts. If you depend on it, you'll keep stopping and starting over and over. But discipline, that's different. Discipline is built in those moments when you keep going even though the motivation is completely gone. Those are the moments that shape your identity. You start to see yourself as someone who finishes what they start. And once you believe that about yourself, quitting becomes something you just don't do. Now picture yourself a year from today. Think about what you want to have achieved. Think about the kind of life you want, the person you hope to become. Then ask yourself, what's really standing in the way? It's not some huge obstacle. It's not a lack of chances. It's not even talent. The only thing between you and that version of yourself is how many times you choose to push past resistance instead of giving in. That's the only thing that matters. And here's the truth. Resistance will never fully go away. It just shows up in different ways as you grow. New challenges, new situations. Even the most successful, fulfilled people still feel it. But the difference is they've learned to accept it. They expect it. They even welcome it because they understand that it means they're growing. They don't run from it. They use it as proof they're on the right path. So the real question isn't whether resistance will show up, it's what you'll do when it does. Will you let it stop you? Will you believe that voice that says it's fine to quit for now? Or will you see it for what it really is? Another chance to prove something to yourself. Because every time you choose to keep going, you build up the part of you that doesn't break. You train your mind to value your future over your current comfort. And the more you do this, the more natural it becomes. Over time, it shifts from something that feels like a fight to something that feels normal. From struggle to routine. And one day you'll look back and realize you became the person who never gave up. The one who faced hard times and didn't flinch. The one who, when resistance showed up, responded by pushing harder. If you want to change your life, you don't need huge leaps or dramatic actions. You just need the courage to keep showing up, especially on the days you don't feel like it. You have to force yourself to be consistent. Not just when it's fun or easy, but even more so when it's boring or painful. Discipline over emotion. Small steps done daily. Trust built through showing up. Accepting the dull parts. Working through the tough parts. That's how real success is made. The real question isn't, can you do it? Because you can. The question is, will you force yourself to stay consistent? And if you do, you will surprise yourself with what you're truly able to achieve.